Welcome to the BeanTown Beatdown. Matthew Barr's here.
Gabe Shamus.
Yep.
And we got some cider today.
Yep, this is our last show. Well, for
last weekly show.
Yeah,
yes.
Last weekly show, and talk a little more about that as we get towards the end.
Yeah, but it's nice, isn't it, out there? It's like it's summer again, or maybe spring.
Yeah, I know. That's it's good. Cheers.
Cheers to that. Sporting my summer spring look. This happened with one of my shirts about 2 years ago, and I lost the whole sleeve. And anyway, since then I've tried it on 2 other shirts for summertime. Yeah, I like it.
Well, get into some headlines, and for headlines, we got a big fight weekend. First, on October 21st on Spike TV, it's Bellator 162, double main event. Big bad Bobby Lashley taking on Josh Appelette. Hopefully, this fight will get him a world title shot.
Nice.
Also, Kendall Grove is going to be taking on Alexander Shlemenko in the main event. Should be a huge fight in that middleweight division, vying for the middleweight title. And that same night, it is Lion Fight Muay Thai on Access TV, and that will be live from the Tropicana in Las Vegas. The main event for the super welterweight title fight, Kyle Hollenbeck versus Malapet. And it's amazing. This fight takes place 2 days after the Hillary and Trump debate tonight on in Vegas. Of course, they're doing.
So there's one Rumble and then there's another.
Well, the Trump and Clinton thing that's taking place at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. Of course, home of the Running Rebels for all you old school college basketball fans from the Rebels of the '90s: Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, and Greg Anthony.
Got it.
Yep, and of course. Also, it's Glory 34. That will actually be airing on ESPN2 on Sunday. And that has Nikki Holzken versus Mauricio Groenhart. And there's the middleweight title tournament, a 4-man tournament there. And also some other big news. Of course, Greg Hardy, football player who's currently right now on in free agency. He's been doing some MMA training, and apparently he wants to get into mixed martial arts, and all I can say is, hail to the no. Hail to the no, man. You know, Jay Glazer has been against it. Stephen A. Smith has been against it as well.
Yeah.
You know, and knowing, UFC and Bellator having what they dealt with the War Machine thing and some other fighters who've been known for domestic violence, they're not going to touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, that's a good point there. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Hardy will probably be on a small promotion, like small indie promotion. I could probably see him going over to Ryzen Fighting Championship in Japan because, they love freak show fights. So I could definitely see that, but as far as getting into the big leagues, not happening. Not happening. Also, another person who wants to get into mixed martial arts, Demi Lovato.
Oh,
yeah,
she's fascinating.
Well, yeah, she's actually been doing some MMA training because her boyfriend is Luke Rockhold, former UFC middleweight champion. Okay. They've been dating now, and according to Jay Glazer, who's been training with her, she wants to have a real MMA fight.
Well, that is fascinating, isn't it? We've talked about before if fighters can go on to be, good actors, but we haven't really talked about the other way around.
Well, yeah. Well, she's an actress. She's a singer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess mostly singer, but same type of thing. She's an entertainment icon, and to try and go into fighting, I don't know. I mean, it would be fascinating to watch. I would definitely
Oh yeah, I
tune
mean,
in pretty much for her. But.
oh yeah, I would. I think she should start out small, like in a
Mm-hmm.
small promotion, but don't just go. Just don't put her in the deep waters in the UFC or Bellator.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Stay away from Ronda Rousey. Stay away from Holly Holmes, Paige Vanson, Joanna Turkeski. Stay away from those girls for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And also got a little bit of a wet dream I had about Demi Lovato. Also involves her. I think they're still friends now. Considering what Demi said about Taylor Swift. Selena Gomez. More on that later. So now we're gonna get into Macho Doesn't Mean This. So Gabe, what are we talking about?
All right. Yep. So today I'm going to be talking about something that's that I think people know but don't really know, and it's a concept that should be explored more. And there's only one simple way to say it, which is silence does not mean agreement. It's just because someone is silent or doesn't say anything back at you doesn't mean they actually agree with you. And there's countless examples from a lot of TV shows, movies, etc. And also, I'm sure you can think of in real life, someone says something that rubs you the wrong way, but they're a friend of yours, or it's complicated, You know what I mean? And it's like I really should say something here, but I don't know. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it's like, what would it accomplish? What would it accomplish to actually say something against this, even though I completely disagree with what's being said, with what's happening. Some of my go-tos in TV, as you know, are Breaking Bad, are Mad Men. Mad Men is actually kind of a master at this. Everything, not everything, but a lot of things is really kind of subtle, but also on edge. That's pretty much Mad Men to a T. So there's a lot of that stuff where there's the kind of like small but silent nod, or the shift your eyes this way and then back, kind of like, I can't believe that person just said that, but, I'm not going to say anything right now because that'll just make things too complicated. And, so I'm sure, especially a guy like you with your, social difficulties, sometimes that's, its own thing, right?
Well, I'm very argumentative, so...
Yes, that's true, as I know.
Yeah, because, of course, my mom, she always... Because I have a thing of trying to always prove that I'm right about something, and, because...
I think a lot of us have that.
Yeah,
it's called being a human.
Yeah, my mom, she always says, you know what? When you know you're right about something, you don't have to argue it. And it's like, well, yeah, but, at the same time, if I don't speak up and say anything, there's a 50-50 chance it won't go my way. So...
Right. So there you go. That's the perfect thing that's the perfect example of being sort of caught in the conundrum. You feel like like you just said, if you don't speak up, then then it might not go your way, or you might be the other person might assume that you agree or are conceding that he is right. You know what I mean? And that's something that's tough. That's something I certainly don't want to do in those types of situations. But I think a lot of us know when it's a friend, when it's someone we're involved with romantically, then it becomes a lot more complicated to do that stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I wish I had thought more about the specific examples of Mad Men, but like I said, it happens pretty much all the time. Oh yeah, okay. So one time there's one of my favorite scenes is they're in the boardroom, and there's this guy who is pitching the new sport of highlight. Have you ever heard of highlight?
No.
Okay. Well, it's in people bet on it in Miami and like South Florida, and it used to be a lot more. It's international. It used to be a lot more known, I think, in the U.S. But anyway, there's these guys that have these kind of like mixed between racquetball and well, it's not actually like badminton, but I think the same types of players that play like badminton and what's the other one I'm thinking about? Lacrosse.
Yeah.
The lacrosse players definitely could play this. So anyway, instead of rackets, it's like these big, elongated gloves, like scoop gloves that they have on their hands, and they just like racquetball, it's a long court this way, and you're hitting the ball against the far wall. But anyway, they have these long like scoop hands, so they can just like whoosh, hurl that motherfucker, and then and then run back and forth. And like I mean, it's like as bad as what you think it would be like to be hit in racquetball. It's like worse because this thing is going so fast through the air. So anyway, people bet on it in Highlight, in Miami and those types of places. My sister bet on it when she turned 21. Actually.
Wow.
Yep. But anyway, there's this guy in this boardroom in the show. This is when it very first came out, and he's pitching the sport to everybody. So he's getting them riled up the same way, talking about all this stuff, and also he mentions all the celebrities that are starting to get involved with it, anyway, it's a lot about he could talk about how much determination it takes, how much grit it takes, but he's not talking about that. He's talking about the prestige, the celebrities, the $1 million investments that other people want to make. So you better get in on this quick, Mac. You know what I mean? Anyway, so good old Draper is there in the room, and we've talked a lot about his. Whenever we talked about this, we end up talking about Draper's negative qualities, but one of his positive qualities is that he secretly was a hobo back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so he has a much more humble perspective, and that's part of his whole struggle. That's part of the whole struggle of the thing, is that he's in this cutthroat male-dominated world, and he's one of the few, even though he doesn't treat people the best way, he's one of the few people that really has integrity when it comes to business there.
Well, yeah, he's one of those characters that the audience has a love-hate relationship with.
Exactly. Good point. So anyway, this is he's looking at he's watching the whole thing, and he's watching the back and forth, and he's there kind of like and it's like I said, sometimes there's subtle little things, and he kind of subtly not bites his lip, but he kind of lets his overbite show as he's watching this. And anyway, so everyone thinks that he's just as involved and just as on board, but then as it's letting out, he turns to one of the other main guys, and he says, I once watched two men fight over a dead fish, and this had more integrity. What was it? That had more class.
Oh.
Yeah, I once watched two men fight to the death over a fish, and that had more class than this.
He also, when the guy was pitching the idea and mentioned a few celebrities, by any chance, were their names Frank, Sammy, and Dean?
Right. No, I don't think they were, but...
Because, Mad Men, it was still sort of around that time, and, the Rat Pack, when they were still at their peak, and then towards the late 60s, the kind of the Sinatra era kind of ended.
Right, exactly, yeah. For a second there, at the split second, I thought you were talking about the Brat Pack, and I was like, you're way off in your decades, pal. But yeah.
But also, did they also mention any of the members of the Batman TV series at the time? Like Burt Ward or Adam West?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think they do. Maybe not in that episode, but yeah, definitely another time. There's Adam West. There's a whole... One of my other whole favorite scenes is about what's her name? Anne Margaret. Anne Margaret, the sexy movie star from the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a whole thing where they try and do an ad that recreates the famous opening from Bye Bye Birdie, and anyway, it's her running around singing, being very sexy, and anyway, they try and recreate it with someone else, and even though they get it frame by frame with a really hot girl that resembles her, they actually realize it doesn't work. It's still not it. It still doesn't have that quality. And
holy raging boner, Batman.
Yep, exactly. And anyway, they're trying to figure out what was it. Why did that fall flat? And I wish I remembered his name, but the cool guy with the white hair, he just pops on in and is like, it's because it's not Anne Margaret. Anyway. But so the whole thing with that other scene about Hyla is like so two hobos fighting to the death over a fish is more classy than that. So he, even though he was there and he was, looked like he was getting on the fun and was silent, he did not agree with what was going on. He thought it was gaudy, flashy, and below us all. So, it's kind of like that, and I think a lot of people a lot of people that need to be proven right and are not as strong. Like, it's also like if you're really strong, you can kind of handle better the fact that someone might disagree with you. Whereas some people that seem strong and push their weight around, what will they do? They'll take the fact that you're not saying anything, specifically against them to mean that you're on their side. Well, you're with me, right? Oh, you didn't say anything, cry. You know what I mean? And that's actually not strong, even though everyone else might be fooled into thinking they're strong. That's not strong because it means they need you to agree with them, and they need to take any cheap shot they can to get you to, or assume that you agree with them. And it's eventually that's about insecurity. If you actually can't accept that someone might not agree with you, like, that's a complete insecurity. I feel like people want me to agree with them because I think they see that I'm actually pretty strong because I have my convictions, and there are things that I agree with and things that I don't, and I'm not insecure about the fact that I know some people will not agree with me, and will vehemently disagree with me, and yet I can still find a way to talk to them. And
well, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And sometimes, there's always the strong and silent type.
Strong and silent type, exactly. Where does that come from? That's the same idea.
Well, yeah, Mike Tyson back in the day, he was a strong and silent dude when he was winning and shit, and then it wasn't until he started, he let it go to his head, and then and then with the ear biting, and then it's saying stuff in the press conference like, I'll make you my girlfriend, I want to kick him in the skull,
right?
And in fact, when Douglas and Holyfield and Lewis fought him, they weren't doing much trash. They didn't do any trash talking. I mean, well, Lennox Lewis, he was like, I'm at the top of when he fought Lewis, Lennox was like, I'm at the top of the food chain, I'm not intimidated by Mike Tyson, and of course he showed that he wasn't intimidated by him like before they were in the ring. I don't know if you remember the fight, but they had a line of security guards, to prevent to prevent another melee like they did at the press conference when Tyson bit his leg, and Mike was looking up at them, and Lennox was just pumping his chest like, yeah, I'm ready, come on.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point, and that's something we don't really think about knowing Tyson today. Like, we have a completely different view of him, and something I personally completely forgot. So yeah, that's a very good point, and kind of the reason I'm on here on the show talking with you about this stuff is that you can get into the whole sports aspect and the stats and the this, and I'm into the psychology and the kind of sizing people up. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, Mike Tyson, of course, he intimidated people. Especially when you met in the ring with him for instructions, and you saw that stare. It's like,
Oh yeah.
That eye contact thing, and then, or even before the bell when the ring announcer is doing the introductions, you see him, making eye contact, and he's doing the Brooklyn twitch,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that little neck twitch thing,
Yeah.
and then of course that twitch got straightened the fuck up a little bit when he got his ass stomped, but he still tried to intimidate people, especially when he came out with the the loud rap music and stuff like that,
Well, yeah, and it's a good point though. I mean, there's many ways to intimidate people, and so we think of him as the in your face type of intimidation that you're talking about, but but like you said, like you reminded me, he had a whole he had a whole other aspect of himself, a whole other career, and where he was doing a very different type of intimidation, the strong silent type of intimidation.
Yeah. And some people from the old school days, they're still afraid of Mike Tyson too. All you
Yeah.
gotta do is look at his old school fights, and actually he has worked out a little bit. He's done a few things where you see him like punching the bag and stuff like that. He could maybe have one more fight. Not like a full comeback, but maybe run around the track one more time.
Right.
Like just do one lap around the track.
Another go around the track. Yep, exactly. Let's see. I don't know if you've watched the new Netflix show The Ranch. Ashton Kutcher and the other guy from.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Yes,
show.
yes.
It's supposed to be pretty good.
It is actually. I've been watching it. It's pretty funny. And so Ashton Kutcher and the I forget his name right now, but the other guy that was also on that '70s show.
Oh yeah, no, the one with the glasses and the big fro. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, they've teamed up again, and they're on this show, and it's also I don't remember his name either, but it's also a pretty famous movie character as well. The guy from True Grit is actually their father in that too.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And anyway, he was, I saw an interview where Kutcher was talking about him, and he was like, a lot of times I feel like your father on the show, you should know that you're like the guy who plays your father could actually beat you up. and he's like, this guy has been the tough guy on some top usually Western shows, and he's upwards of 70, or probably over 70 years old, but I actually know he would whoop my ass still. And but the thing about him is that he's a lot of times he actually doesn't. Sometimes he'll make a big scene about yelling, and it's really funny. But a lot of times he doesn't actually yell at the boys. He's like, you stupid moron. You know what I mean? And that could, if you imagine him to actually be your father, that could be just as intimidating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's better than having the dad from that '70s show going. I'm gonna put my foot in your ass.
Yeah, exactly. That was his go-to thing. I'm gonna put my foot straight up your ass.
Yeah. So definitely, yeah, man. You definitely hit the nail on the head on the being silent and stuff like that. Man.
Yeah, and so it does not mean that you agree, and I think certain people can tell that I don't actually agree with them, even if I don't say a word. Well, too bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you want another?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, here you go. And now, well, also I mentioned the wet dream I had.
Moving on to Matt's wet dream.
Yep, beautiful Demi Lovato. Ever since she did that Cool for the Summer video, I've actually had the hots for her. And of course, this wet dream did not involve me, but it did involve her, Selena Gomez. They've known each other because they both, they both were on Barney, and they did some movies for the Disney Channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what happens is, in the dream, like they're in some dungeon, and Selena is, she's got like restraints on and stuff, and she's held up there, and then Demi starts, making out with her, and then finger banging her.
Oh man! So a full girl on girl wet dream this time.
Oh yeah, and then Selena puts her on the Demi puts Selena on the bed, and she is just fucking her with a strap on. But here's the thing: it's a special type of strap on.
I'm a special type, of course.
Well, I'm a little surprised they didn't come up with. They haven't invented this yet. A strap on that vibrates.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, they definitely should for the women.
Yeah, and the vibrating thing, it has the.
Some of us guys might like it too.
Yeah, and the vibrating comes from the tip. The tip of the penis.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course she didn't turn it on then. Like she just, because you can still use it just to fuck them. You just won't have the vibration on.
Right.
And Demi is just fucking the shit out of Selena. She is just, just fucking her with it, on top of her. And then at one point, Demi ties Selena to the bed, and then she puts the strap-on thing on her and the vibrating thing on, and she turns on the vibrator, and then and Demi just sits down on it, and she is just moaning like crazy, and then as she's coming, she's just straight squirts.
Oh man!
Just.
I gotta love the sound effects there.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and Demi Lovato is so hot, and plus dating a UFC fighter like Luke Rockhold.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Luke Rockhold, he had better not screw that one up.
Yeah.
A girl like Demi Lovato, she is hot, and she's had drug problems, but she really has been good with being clean and sober and and stuff like that. In fact, she says that. I read it not too long ago in a magazine. She says that movies like The Wolf on Wall Street make her think of cocaine, because one of her drugs was cocaine. And she says, like, as soon as she sees that, she's like, oh, gotta turn that off, Yeah.
Fascinating.
Also, Selena Gomez, she's in rehab. She's at a rehab facility in Tennessee to deal with her lupus and depression. And actually, there was a picture of her
But okay, so not drug-related rehab, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was actually a picture of her, like, she was outside smoking a cigarette and stuff. Yes, people, Selena Gomez smokes. Disney was a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's interesting about that is that, like, yeah, I feel like there's sort of a double standard about, especially the young women and innocence or not, and like thanks. So the thing I was thinking of is when you said that is Malia Obama. There was actually a tape of her during a concert. She went to a festival, actually, one of those music fests, and she's 18 now, so everyone likes to think of her as like the little first daughter, like when they got it in 2008, but like she's 18 now, she's about to go off to college, so anyway, there was this video that surfaced of her smoking, and some people think it wasn't even a cigarette but a joint. So it could have been a cigarette or a joint, but like either way they don't like it, and like like whatever. But it's like people grow out of their innocence, get over it.
Yeah, but also like it's also the thing is like Obama has been very public about trying to quit smoking and stuff. And,
so if it was a cigarette, I can understand that maybe there's like that whole thing.
Yeah, and Obama, I'm sure like her dad has tried to tell her like, listen, it took me a long time to quit, and if you keep going down this road, it could take you a long time as well.
Yeah, and he's probably right about that. so ironic that for what some people are upset about, it would actually be better if it was marijuana. But yeah, I mean, either like where I'm coming from is like either way, people people grow out of their innocence and they try things, like just because you want them to stay the same certain way, it doesn't work that way. I remember the whole Miley Cyrus craze. It was because she was the pure version, of all the other Disney girls. And this one will be great.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
this one will stay pure. Well, look what happened to that.
Oh, yeah. Cutting her hair off, smoking weed, and twerking. And giving a lot of people like me a boner. So yeah, but hey, she grew up and
yeah, exactly. So
so
I mean, the point is, I don't, it's not like some things about them you can still condemn because it's not great choices, but the point is that they do grow up, you know what I mean, and they do lose their innocence, and they do try out things that you might not like that 18-year-olds are trying out, but they do. They're gonna try out weed. They're gonna have sex like at some point soon. Like you kind of have to learn to live with that as people grow up.
Yeah, most definitely. Well said. Well said.
Thanks.
And now we're gonna get into chew on this, and it was announced that on December 30th, the fight before New Year's, it will be Ronda Rousey versus Amanda Nunes for the Women's Bantamweight Championship.
Yeah.
And this is going to be her first fight back in a year. And
isn't it going to be more at this point?
Well, no. Her last fight was last November.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's
been a
people,
long year.
Yeah, and people, of course, are wondering, should her first fight be a title fight because she's been out for so long? And
right.
My thing is, I have to say no on this. And, here's the thing. The UFC, yes, the UFC at the end of the day is a business, and they have to turn a profit. But at the same time, you have to you have to let the title that they're fighting for, trying to get a title shot at, mean something. You can't just have a division where, you just hand out title shots like it's candy. I mean, They did that with Chael Sonnen, when after he lost to Anderson Silva, and then he got suspended, and he just got one. And after being out for a year, he just had one. All it took him was just 2 fights and to get another title shot. And then when he goes up to light heavyweight, his first fight at light heavyweight, it's a title fight against John Jones, and of course John Jones, as we all know, whooped his ass. So I mean, it's like. You can't just keep handing out title shots like it's candy. Yes, it will be a big pay-per-view buy, but also think about this. What will happen if Ronda loses again?
Right.
Because if Ronda loses again, the movie career is gone, and if she continues to, her popularity is her popularity is going to go down, and if she wants to, and if she continues to fight, if she's going to continue to fight and get another title shot, it'll be a long, long, long time before she gets another title shot. So my feeling is, no, she should have maybe fought Misha or Holly Holmes again, or fight a newcomer to the division. But as far as her first fight back as a title fight, no, she's been out for a year. I feel like she should earn that again.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. That's a very good point. And I pretty much agree in terms of like a fan of hers, in terms of being a fan of hers and wanting her legacy to continue. I think it would be fair to her that way. I guess I'm gonna play devil's advocate in that you when we talked about her going back against Holly Holm. When we talked about her going on to Miesha Tate after Miesha Tate beat Holly Holm, we were saying that you were saying that it actually would be a must-win situation for her. That it's not great, and not that you like it, but that's kind of how the game is played. So to kind of take the other side, if it really was, if it really is a must-win situation for her. Anyway, then why pretend? Why pretend and give her a fight that's not the title shot? Why not it actually be the title shot if you're gonna say that the way the game's played, it would be do or die anyway?
So
you get what I mean?
So in other words, you think she should get she should get a title shot. She should get a title shot in her first fight back.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, to take the other side, yeah, like, why, if you're gonna say that it was do or die anyway on a rematch, or if you're gonna say it was do or die anyway against Miesha Tate, since she's the reigning champion at that point, then then why not have it be a title shot, and then it really is do or die.
Well, also keep in mind, while she's been gone for the rest of the year, there have been women who haven't gotten their title shot, who've been working their way up the ranks. They've been working, so they're gonna look at this and be like, okay, so you're basically you're just handing it to her, while meanwhile for the rest of the year we've been doing nothing but busting our ass.
So that's a good point, and that's something I guess a lot of us at home don't always think about. That yes, there are a lot of people that have been working this whole time that are vying for the same thing. So I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. So you're saying it's not fair to them that actually are working, to not get the shot, and she gets the shot just because she gets the shot when she hasn't been working, for a year and comes back.
Well, yeah, because you also got to think of the other contenders that have been rising up the ranks, and the Valentina Shevchenkos.
I was about to say you actually follow this stuff, so you would know the other women that would have been next on deck, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So who might have been?
Valentina Shevchenko after that victory over Holly Holmes.
Okay.
I know that Pennington. Pennington's fighting. There's there's just so many other contenders I can't really think right now. Right. Also because I got the liquor in me, but. So
you're saying that, they've been hustling, they've been making it work, and they've been fighting this whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you want fighters to really earn the title shot. Like I said, it can't just, like I said, the UFC has to turn a profit. The UFC at the end of the day, it's a business. I mean, MMA is a sport, but the promotions like the UFC, Ryzen, and Bellator, they're a business. They have to do what is best to turn a profit and they have to make the fights that people want to see. But at the end of but you also cannot you can't just have a division where it just hands out title shots like candy, because, the people who are working hard to get a title shot, they're busting their fucking ass.
Right.
In the gym, and we're fighting other fighters, rising up the ranks. And when you just hand a title shot to somebody who's been out for a year, whether it be injury or suspension or, to do other movies and stuff like that, it just sends a bad precedent. It doesn't mean that the title means anything, because the title it has to be the belt because the belt is something that most fighters will kill for. In every division, even going back to boxing in the heavyweight division, like back in the 80s and 90s with Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, George Foreman, Riddick Bowe, those, and Lennox Lewis, those guys, they would kill for that belt. They will spill their blood for that belt.
Right. So yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I guess you kind of did leave open room for the argument against you at the beginning of what you were just saying, though. You did say that it is a business and that type of thing, and what's going to bring in the ratings. So to take the other side, it would they would say that who knows about these other players? Yeah, they've been busting their ass, but sorry, that's the business, right? And who actually knows about them at home? Whereas we've talked about Ronda Rousey as such a wide appeal, or at least did, and so many other people across all the spectrums of entertainment culture knew about her.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I do fault the UFC at this, especially Dana White. Look, Dana has made some good decisions in the past, and he's made some bad decisions in the past. I mean, Dana is not there to be friends with the fighters or the fans.
Right.
As a matter of fact, what's his name? The hybrid from the fighter and the kid. I talked about. Oh yeah, Brendan Schaub. Brendan Schaub. He said like, look, Dana is. He's told fighters this. He's like, look, there are some fighters that Dana is more close with than all the other fighters. And he says like, look, Dana is not your friend. If you're not part of his club, then that's it. But of course he says like, look, don't be part of his boys club. Don't be part of his social club. But
Well, I mean, yeah. So you're describing the kind of dilemma of being a promoter, of being a one of the people like in charge, one of the people that has to represent the organization as a whole. Like, yeah, that you're not supposed to be there to be friends with the fighters or the fans. You're supposed to be there, to make the best decision on behalf of the UFC. So,
Yeah, and of course Dana still has a say in what goes on, even with the new buyers. The William Morrison Endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully the people who bought the company, they can. Hopefully going into the year 2017, hopefully they can have a little more input and say like, "Whoa, Dana, I know you're doing what's best for the company, but
right.
we really gotta start aiming at giving the title shots to people who really deserve it."
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you would like to think that that's what would happen. I guess the other problem with that might be that it's we talked about this last time, that all the new celebrity co-owners, so hopefully they would bring a democratizing voice and say it should be on earned merit. But the other thing is they are celebrities, and so it actually might tip the scales the other way, and that who's more a celebrity like us? Well, Ronda Rousey is a celebrity. She's someone I've heard of outside of all of this. Anyone else that I've heard of outside of all this? Nope, not anymore. Sorry. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and plus, like I said on the last show, because there are some Boston people that are part of that, and especially Robert Kraft, Tom Brady, and of course Markey. Of course, I'm pretty sure Dana's gonna want to listen to a little more to the Boston people, minus Ben Affleck.
Right. Well, yeah, and again, let's hope that they'd bring a democratizing voice. Let's hope that they'd want it to be on the merits, and with all the sports teams that we have, with all the kind of that kind of honor that I think we have, then yes, hopefully they would be like, it should be based on the athlete's merit and what they've achieved, whether or not they're going to get a title shot against someone.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, that can be something hopefully that will change in 2017.
Exactly.
And of course, as we said, this is our last weekly show, because we are going to be on Ska TV Somerville Community Access Television.
Exactly. Going to the studio, folks.
Yep, and you can catch us on there. You can live stream us on skytv.com.
We'll have more details on that later.
Yeah, more details on that later. But this does not mean that Bloody Knuckles is going away. We are still going to do this show, but it's going to be a debate edition. And every 2 weeks, you will see us on here, and we'll be debating not only subjects on fighting, but some other subjects we know about.
Exactly.
And we're still gonna have some cold ones.
Yes.
Of course, mine's low now, but we're still gonna have the cold ones. You're gonna see us debate these things, and also just a little update on Ringside with Matt and Gabe. That will also be going over to Sky TV, but we will also be airing it at the same time also on our channel, Bloody Knuckles TV. So that show's not going anywhere.
All right.
Yep.
So let's cheers to that. And
yep. This isn't goodbye. Just
see you later.
Yeah. Just a see you later for now.
Okay.
Yep.
BeanTown to your town.
BeanTown to your town. This is the BeanTown Beatdown. Matthew Burris.
James Thomas.
Saying, "Go Patriots!" Ha ha.